Alright, done. There you go, back to the sit and goes. That's review, thanks Douglas Souza. Glad you're back at your keyboard now. Do you think I should limp aces with 4 big blinds for value? Yes, probably. Depending on your opponents, but yeah. I'm gonna make a stream dedicated to 50-50s. Good luck with that, Jlawrence. Dad will snap sub, there you go. What's this hand? Master Yoda's hand. Yeah, it's kind of tricky actually. This is okay because you'd have to assume that if he had a good ace, he would go all in pre-flop. Same thing with like a pair. If he had 8s plus, he would just go all in pre-flop. And after you put in so much money, you're kind of committed if he has one pair. I think you played it okay. You played it very fast, Master Yoda. I might not have 3-bet pre-flop. I think I might have just called. But your 3-bet isn't bad. You just played it differently. But I think you played it okay. It's... yeah, it's a tricky hand to play there. I like post-flop because you put so much money in with your C-bet. You're getting good odds. And you don't think he has a pair, an overpair or an ace because he would have probably gone in pre-flop, all in pre-flop. You're only worried about hands like weak aces like ace 5. Those hands you're not doing too good against, but you still have 2 overcards and you're getting good odds, so yeah. My friend plays 200 raises 2.5 more positions and he's winning like 6 big blinds, 100 pre-rake back. Yeah, Panda, let's see Panda. This is NL2, man. I'm not talking about NL200. Of course, the guys playing NL200, they can min-raise every position. I'm talking NL2. Where, like, it was an NL2 hand. Like I said earlier, I'm not a cash game pro, so just my opinion. Yeah, I know that Adrian Phoenix said that as well. Like, if you want to play micro stakes cash, you might as well just play micro stakes sit and goes. I think you get more value. Alright, let's go. Yeah, I think in NL2 you should be raising more, just to get more value. But yeah, in NL200, of course, just those guys are crushers. They're way better than I am. So yeah, raising 2.5 all positions, winning 6 big blinds per 100, dominating. Sure, okay, whatever. Where can I find a hyper-satellite study? You probably can't, Saucy Panda, unless you're in a stable. Like a good one anyway. You can probably find a micro stakes hyper-satellite buddy on 2+2. But I think the best way to get study buddies in hyper-satellites is to be in a stable. I don't know if you want to do that. We have nothing, we're giving up. Yeah, you're not really getting odds. I mean, are you? It's close. I think the raise is too big. It costs you too much of your stack. Watch the 6 roll off. I think it's fine to fold pre-flop. You're really not going to flop a set often enough. I'd raise this. Cutoff. This is in my standard range. King 9 suited in the cutoff. Tried joining a stable, but they wanted more volume. Stable is staking, where you put horses. Exactly, Gen Khan. So horses are the people that get staked. The stables are the people that stake the horses. I'd play my local stable if I could play with my own role. That sounds like a good deal for the stable. If you guys are interested in staking, check out my buddy Tim. He's a stream partner for staking and coaching. That's his information there. That's his website. So if you're interested in being staked, give him his website a view. Check it out. I recommend that. I get a piece of any of you guys that decide to join with him, so let him know that I sent you. Referral, that's right. Sellout pulse. Another game with high ISM pressure, which is maybe interesting. Maybe later, Psycho. We'll get through all these other games first. I'll look at your hand, Jimmy Crackers, then we'll get back to this. Sit and go on screen. Would you want turn sizing? Wait, what? Okay. This is tricky, man. It's really tricky. Pre-flop. Because, I mean, yeah, you're getting odds, but this guy's range is really tight. He's free betting the small blind against under the gun. Now, but because he's really tight, if you do flop an 8, you're probably getting his full stack, like, most of the time. So, calling 200 with 2,000 behind, it's 10 to 1 in terms of like implied odds, stack odds, and you're going to flop a set 1 out of 9. So if you can pretty much guarantee that every time you flop an 8, you'll get a double up, you can very marginally call here just for set value. If he's at all bluffing or has a loose range, then this is a snap call, because you can call on some flops when you don't hit an 8, and it's even better. But I think it's really marginal, and like I might just fold, because you're really not getting perfect odds to hit a set. Man, what's the bug here? So now you decide to call because you assume he's bluffing with 8s. Like, I guess if he's loose, it's okay. And then you just jam turn. Well, you are going to see jacks, queens, kings, and aces sometimes. I would probably just check back and hope that you check it down against ace, king, ace, queen. Because what you do here by betting turn, the hands that you beat, ace, queen, ace, jack, ace, king, they're always folding. Like, you bet out equity. Like, if he has, you don't want him to hit an ace or king with that equity. But I do think that he can check call here with jacks, 10s, 9s, aces, and kings. So you own yourself against that range. I think it's better to check and not risk your whole stack against aces. And just hope that the river is not going to pair him and that he checks. It's a tough hand to play. That's why I said I'd probably just fold pre-flop. Even on really good boards like this, you don't know necessarily whether you're ahead or how to play profitably against his tight small blind 3-bet range. Full hand, Jimmy Crackers. What volume do you need? It depends on stables, Saucy Panda. It's the decision of the backer. First will own your soul. I'll own like 5% of your soul, yes. Someone sent a 180 where they get knocked out first hand. Are you going to play today? No, I'm not playing today, D. Evans. We're just doing reviews all day. $500 for the link pulse put on. Huh? 500? What do you mean? It's a cool little lead. I like it. Whose game is this? God, my memory is so bad. Jlawrence. I like this lead, Jlawrence. Your multi-way, your hand is pretty good now. You're just hoping that everyone folds, but it's a semi-bluff because you can hit more equity with a 6 if you do get called. But if you get called by multiple players, I just give it up. You can also just win against missed flush draws. Definitely folding. Yeah, well done. I like the way you play that. It only costs you 55 chips, and I do think that that investment will be worth it in the long run. You'll win enough. Same situation here. It's a really good lead. Really good. You're playing it very well in this spot. A lot of players will check call, which I think is also fine to check call with the king. but usually when you play small blind with hands like this, one high card, one low card, and you flop a weak pair, it's much better to lead and bet fold, because no one's really going to raise you with a worse hand than this. No one's going to raise you with king 5 and bluff you off your hand. They're only going to raise better, but they're going to flat call with a lot of draws and a lot of weaker pairs. So that's why leading is much better than check calling, because especially against passive players, if you check, you're hoping that a passive player is going to bet here with a 4 or a draw, which they usually don't. They're usually just going to check. So, pump and jams. Half fashion, my bro. Thanks, man. We're getting jams in the chat now. There's no more hearts. It's jams. Thanks, Half Fashion. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for the support. 3 months in a row. Can't believe it's been that long. This is a 6 max turbo, yeah. So, this is really important, guys, to know how to play these pots, because this will win you a lot of money in the long run. If you're playing a lot of small blinds and you're getting into situations like this, knowing when to bet fold and when to check call on flops against multiple opponents is really, really important. Because these pots happen very frequently. They're small pots, but they happen a lot. So if you win a lot of small pots like this, you're going to get good value. So I really love the way you played this, Jlawrence, and it's a good lesson for everyone else. When you have these weak pairs on wet boards with some draws, it's better to bet fold than check call, because passive players aren't going to bet weaker hands. And if you do get raised, you're very happy just folding weak top pair, because they're not going to raise you with worse. And you're going to get a lot of value from passive players who will definitely call down draws and 3s and 4s and worse kings. So really, really good line. Really good line, and it's going to be much better than check calling. Now, when do you want to check call? You want to check call when there's much fewer draws. So like king, 8, deuce, rainbow, you can check call, because there are a lot fewer combos that are going to call you. There's a lot fewer draws out there that are going to, you know, call. And those are the boards where people are more likely to bluff because they're so dry. They look very enticing for people to bluff, like king, 8, deuce, rainbow. If it checks to the guy in position and he has ace high, he might just bet and hope that you guys have nothing. So much more dry boards when you have weak top pairs, you want to check call, because there's less value from people calling you if you bet, and also it's more likely that they're going to bluff. Okay, makes sense? Really, really important hand here. It might not look like it because the pot's small, but if this happens 50 times in a day, you're going to get good value here. Saucy Panda, I'll take a look while we're talking, having a break. This hand crushed myself to being chip leader nearly whole tournament. How bad was it? Okay. Undergun, ace king, 1400. So, trying to think big blinds wise, like 35 big blinds, maybe 40. Can't really see. Yeah, like 45 big blinds. Okay, so you've got MP2 call. He's got a similar stack. Small blind also calls. Big stack. Big blind also calls. He's got more than 20 big blinds. Multi-way pot. Wow. Pretty gross. Check, check. Wait, what? No, check big blind bets. So he leads on king deuce 7. You're raising here. And this guy, the big blind goes all in. You go all in. Okay. It's pretty tough, this hand. Pretty tough. Saucy Panda. I think it's going to entirely depend on your read of the big blind, but if you are close to like running deep, if you're running deep, I would be a little bit more passive in general and just call and not raise. Like your hand is really strong, and if he's a loose player and you think that he might lead here with king queen, king jack, king 10 and flush draws, raising's definitely better. But if you don't have good reads, and you don't really know if he's a tight player or not, I would just call and play it a little bit less risky. Most people I don't think are going to bet and then go broke with King 10 or King Jack. So like the thing with raising is that like you're bloating the pot. You are getting some value because he might bet just flat with flush draws or like King Jack, but you're taking a big risk if he is a tight player and he leads here with sets. Deuces and sevens are in his range. Kings is not. It's really tough. It's a tough spot. Saucy Panda. I'd probably just flat. Why are people going on tilt when I play very fast and very aggressive? I don't know why. His donk bet was weird. It was weird. I put him on a flush draw. I'd say, like, yeah, you can put him on flush draws there in weak top pairs if he's a bad player. But if you don't have that read that he's a bad player, just be a little bit more conservative and just call, because you don't know. What's up, Oak Darkness Gaming? How you going, man? Good to see you. If you don't know, guys, Oak Darkness is a fellow Aussie streamer. He streams survival games. I was watching his stream last night. He's a cool guy. Definitely check him out. Give him that follow if you like survival games. Why raise when you think he has a bluff? Well, you're raising because you're trying to... Well, if you think he has a pure bluff, well, how can you have a pure bluff there if it's like against 5 players? He has something, but you're raising because if he has a flush draw or a weaker king, queen, king, jack, you get value. That's why you raise. But only very loose players and very bad players are going to do that. SPR is less than 2. Was SPR okay, yeah, the big blind was a short player, that's true. I think it still depends on how bad he is. Like, a good player is never going to lead there with king, queen. Or a flush draw, in my opinion. They're going to check raise those hands, or like check call. I actually don't think a good player is ever going to just continue with king, queen. Or he might like check call a small bet, but he might just check fold because it's 5-way or 4-way. I don't know, it's really tough. You need reads on the guy. I think without reads, I'd play it more passively. I missed this hand. Oh, this is the lead we're talking about. So we bet, then we check, then we decide to check call. I think I'd continue to just bet fold, Jlawrence, for the same reasons as the flop. We want to get value from like 6x and flush draws. So I'd continue to bet fold rather than check call. Because now you're still like, you're bluff catching against flush draws. I think you have to call. Yeah, you have to call, but the problem with check calling is like you let him choose the sizing. If he bombs it here, you're kind of in a really tough spot. Just continue bet folding. You got lucky, but I think just bet fold. Turn river. King 7 deuces is prime example of dry flop. Would not be surprised to see a bluff. There was a flush draw. I honestly don't think people are going to bluff their multi-way. If it was a heads-up pot condor, then yeah, maybe he can bluff, but he's bluffing into 3 opponents, right? It's pretty ballsy. He slow rolled me when I went all in for ages. I was so confident the best. Slow roll. Alright, let's move on. Let's try and get through this. I would see bet this like 90% of the time, I think, because you have no backdoors, one. So like you're just less likely to call down with ace high on the turn because you don't have that spade draw, that if the turn's a spade, you can't call very comfortably. Also, like, you're not too scared of 5-6 king. You'd be more scared of like 7-8 queen than 5-6 king. Because people are going to defend the big blind less often with 5 and 6 combos than like 7, 8, and 9. And also the king, is going to be more scary if he has like Queen Jack, Queen 10, than obviously like a Queen High flop. So I would c-bet this way more often than like a Queen High middling flop. I just think you get more folds on this board. I like the delayed c-bet. It's kind of like a value bet actually with Ace Queen High against flush draws. Now you check back. I think the way you played it, Jlawrence, is not bad. I would play it differently, but I do think that your way of playing it is profitable. But I do think that you can c-bet the flop and just get instant value from his folding range. Unless you have a read that the guy is like ridiculously loose and spewy. There are companies that... Wait, what? Oh, right, yeah, the survival companies. Yeah, I was watching there's a show on Discovery about survivalists. Pretty interesting. People spend hundreds of thousands on shelters, and there's a bunny running in here. I'll give you a 9-man. Would you have a look, or are you just doing single hands? I'm doing 9-handed Murray. Full hand histories. I've got a lot in the queue, but I'll probably get to yours. We're doing it for another 3 hours. So you can send it to my email. There's a list, there's a queue. You'll be like number 5 in the queue. And I'm talking to chat quite a lot, so they're going a little bit slower than I would like. I do not like this bluff. It's a limped pot. Jlawrence, he's not going to believe you that you have an ace because it's a limped pot. And remember that old rule, don't bluff in low stakes. People don't fold. So you got pretty lucky there. I would not be bluffing. So I like that you're trying to play your small blind. I think raising this hand's pretty risky, especially because the guy has you covered. He's got a decent stack. He's probably not folding very often. If he's a tight player, I like this. Just raise any 2 cards. But if he's a loose player, I'd maybe just limp stab or just fold. 5-8 off is really terrible. Value, nice. Car broke down, had to get it towed. My wife ran over a nail on the weekend, so I had to put the spare on. That guy folds so much. I like the raise then, Jlawrence, well done. You can raise this on a tight table, but on a loose table, I really like the fold. You're getting close to the bubble. It's just a weak ace. Your stack getting close to 20 big blinds. The blinds are going to go up soon. You need to start protecting your stack size a little bit and not raise too much. Because if you raise too much and you have to invest a c-bet, all of a sudden you'll have less than 1,000 chips. Then when the blinds go up, you'll only have 10 big blinds or 9 or 8, and it'll be much harder for you to get fold equity. But having like these 200 chips or 300 in your stack that you're going to invest here with a raise and a c-bet is worth a lot. It's a quarter of your chips, so you really need to start being a bit tighter when you're getting close to the bubble. So I like the fold there. Another spot where we can talk about playing limped pots. We have top pair, but it's a very drawy board. We have no spade. What do? Do we check call, or do we limp fold, or sorry, do we bet fold, or do we check fold? I think check folding top pair limped pot is way too tight. Like, we probably have the best hand the majority of the time. But how do we play it? Very similar to that king from earlier, just bet fold. Because you can get value from weaker hands that are going to call down. He's going to call you with 8-7. He's going to call you with 6-7. He's not going to raise. He's going to call you with spades. He's not going to raise. If he does raise, you just bet fold because your hand is quite weak, one pair. And check calling is definitely worse because there are a lot of hands that you are not going to be happy with on the turn. Spades, 7, 10, any card higher than a 9, and a spade, and a 7, and a 5. I guess 5's okay, but there are a lot of hands that just aren't good for you. And if he's bluffing, he's going to continue bluffing those hands because you're showing weakness by check calling. If he has value, like, your hand just isn't doing good against his value range. So definitely this is a spot to bet fold. In conclusion, it's very similar to the King X. Well done. same as the last hand. You start when this happens. Last time you started check calling, but I think that people in general are going to play passively, and they're not going to raise you with worse than this. So, but they're going to call down worse hands sometimes. So I would continue just bet folding small for thin value against draws and like 8x. If he raises or calls and the river is bad, you just check fold. If he calls and the river is good for you, like a deuce of diamonds, you can consider bluff catching and check calling river. That's the strategy right here. So I would bet fold. Good, good. Well done. Perfect. Well done, Jlawrence. I'll see you on the TV, Blair. Just sucked out. Nice. Keep going, Dad. I was gonna call you Fap, but I think calling you Dad's a bit better. I like how you're playing those pots, Jlawrence. Like, I remember you sent me was it you who sent me a hand history like last week? It seems like you're playing much better than you were the last hand history you sent me. Good raise. The read is that the guy's tight. So if he's tight, I like the raise. If he's loose or passive, I would just limp. Alright, we're just shoving ace 10. It's profitable. Is there a better way of playing it? It depends. This is probably the best way to play without reads, because like raise calling this in the cutoff is break even at best, unless you have really good reads that these guys are loose and spewy, and you're getting close to the bubble. So, you know, the big blind might try and play back you. He might call and like mess around on flops, and you don't know what to do. It's really awkward, and raise calling against these guys is just not good. So, but this is definitely profitable. If it's a tight table, I think raising is better, and you just raise fold. If it's a loose table and people are likely to call you and try and see flops, I think shoving is better, because you really don't want to see a flop when you're this close to the bubble, and you'd much rather just pick up the chips with some guaranteed EV and not get into a situation where your opponents can, one, just hit equity post flop and make funky plays, and like just your hand isn't really going to be strong enough in a lot of spots to be very confident post flop, right? I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. Hopefully I'm doing a good job of it. Trying to think of a better way to explain it. There's just not much value, right? When you get close to the bubble, you want to take less thin value and more just low variance equilibrium plays. And this is a low variance equilibrium play. Well, it's not low variance, because if you get called, you're toast, but you're just trying to win small pots with when you know that you can win money long run. But by min raising, you might end up making a mistake where like shoving you pre-flop is, you know, this is always good. This kind of prevents you making a mistake close to the bubble. But certainly you can min raise there and get, you know, more value, or you can min raise and then like fold if you're playing against tight players, which is good. But without reads, I think just shoving is going to be best with that stack size close to the bubble. If you're not close to the bubble, I think just min raise all the time. Call me Fap, please, Craigasm. Alright, I'll call you Fap. Have you ever exploited timing tells? Because I know some guys that have obvious timing tells. Have I ever exploited timing tells? I mean, yes, I have. Do I do it that often? No. I think I exploit sizing tells more often than timing tells. Because in online poker, it's hard to say if a timing tell is actually true, or if the guy's just talking to his friend, or if he's on his phone. You know, you don't really know if the guy's tanking because he's actually thinking about the hand, or if he's just playing 16 tables and he hasn't looked at his aces yet. So timing tells, yeah, they're relevant, but I don't think they're that relevant in online poker. Sometimes you're going to get burned by a guy that's just multi-tabling, or he's just holding his dick and he hasn't played his hand yet. Bunny bomb, you saw the bunny? Yeah, there's my email there, Marianne. Alright, let's continue on. I mean, you said he's tight, I would still play this. If he's tight and you don't want to min-raise because you min-raised last two hands, just limp. So I understand why, I think I understand why you're folding. It's because you raised last two and you feel like he might try and adjust and 3-bet you. Which I can understand that, Jlawrence, but still you need to play. Just limp. Adjust your strategy and limp. This is not good, definitely, because like your hand is marginal, but it's not great, and you're close to the bubble, and you're calling more than 10% of your stack with a marginal hand against a chip player. Yes, you have position, which is the only thing going for you, but Queen 10 off is just pretty junk here, and you just need to fold and save this 10% of your stack and use it better. Also, you're going to get these guys reshoving preflop sometimes. Now what do? This is exactly why calling Queen 10 isn't that great, especially close to the bubble. You have top pair weak kicker, wet board, or it's semi-wet with some draws out there. You might have the best hand, you might not. You really don't know what to do multi-way. So, I think you have to bet, but going broke here is questionable. But you probably have to do it because of how big the pot is, so just fold pre-flop. Bet as played, bet 300, and like you gotta go broke, but it sucks. If anyone check raises, you absolutely have to call because there's too much money out there. Look, there's 1,000 chips out there, you got 1,000 behind, so you're getting 2 to 1. So if anyone ever has a weaker queen, you crush them. They're total equity. If anyone has a jack or a draw, you crush them. But you will run into some 2 pairs and better queens sometimes. It's really just not a good spot for you. Okay, I like the fold. Similar to before, we're getting close to bubble and raising into the chip leader as now second in chips. You want to preserve your stack a little bit. These time and tell, this guy's probably making notes, which means he will probably adjust. I mean, yeah, that might happen, Condor, but I think that's a stretch. He might just be I don't know, cursing. You really don't know what people are doing when they're timing out, when they're timing down, because it's online poker. They could be doing anything. They could be on Facebook. They could be on Twitch chat. You just have no idea. Yeah, they could actually be writing notes, but I think that's actually not a good thing to do, Condor. Because if you're adjusting your entire strategy based off that one little thing that he's doing, like that he's starting to time out, maybe like you think he's writing a note, I think that's incorrect. I just don't think that you can make that assumption about people in online poker. In live poker it's different because you can see the guy, you know what he's doing. Not online. Good. Nice, perfect sizing. Well done, Jlawrence. Good to see that. Good, we're abusing the fact that he's a tight player. I like that. Yeah, just jamming 9s is profitable. Yeah, I think like you can induce this. You can raise call for more value. But 9s is really marginal to induce because you don't really want to induce him with Jack 10. You don't want to induce him with Queen 10 off. And those hands are going to fold pre-flop. So, you know, shoving I think is slightly better with this hand. But I would probably induce 10s. Couple hands in the big blind. Alright, let's look out for those. Oh, you mean like the ace jack and the... Okay, so this hand, if he shoves all in, you fold. Wait, do you fold? If he just shoves all in for 20 big blinds, I would fold. I think it might be slightly profitable to call, but I think there's future game involved in this spot, and like losing 20 big blinds on the bubble against 2 players that you think you're better than, it's just not worth it, even though it might be slightly profitable in a vacuum. And this hand with jacks, like, This is much better than ace jack. So if he just shoves all in, I think it's a call. See ya, Steve. Have a good night, man. Yeah, so the ace jack I would fold, Jlawrence, but the pocket jacks I would call. The difference between ace jack and pocket jacks is enormous in hand strength. If he just shoves all in, even if he just shoves all in, you would call. Yeah, as long as you're not adjusting too much, Condor, that's okay. But yeah, don't take timing tells too seriously in online poker. So we are inducing pre-flop. I mean, I would check call here. Jlawrence, not bet. You are so far ahead, right? You just want him to bluff. This is a monster. This is a trap. So just check call. Can you beat Hyper SnG poker without reads? Yes, you can, Master Yoda. Especially at low stakes. At mid or high stakes, you'd have a higher chance of beating them if you had some reads on your opponents. But in low stakes, you can just play a very general standard strategy and know good ICM yourself, and you don't need any reads on anyone. You'll make money in them. Yeah, I hope you feel better, Steve. Take a break, man. Drink some water. So we limp this, right? It's not a great board to be continuing. It's very connected. I'd probably just check and go for a delay bet if he checks the turn. Like, you just have no equity. You got one backdoor straight draw, that's it. And one overcard. Like, can you bluff? Maybe, but you can't really represent much. If you're gonna bluff, you need to bet the turn, because then you can represent the king and get him to fold a 6 or an 8. But now that you check the turn, he's probably calling a 6. Or actually, maybe not, because the turn completes the straight. But he also can have the 7, maybe? No, he would have bet the 7. You might be able to bluff here. Because I think he's just going to fold a 6 or an 8 if you bet 300. I really don't think he folds an 8 for this sizing. I don't like the sizing. Yeah. I don't like the sizing. If you're going to bluff, you need to make it bigger in that spot. Working on the basis that Hyper's ICM is more important than reads. Yes, that's true. To be honest, ICM is more important than reads in every SnG. Like, you need to know good ICM before you start getting reads on players, and then when you get reads, you can adjust your ICM. That's the timeline of things that you learn. Learn ICM, then get reads, then adjust. If you're getting reads without knowing what you should be doing at all in ICM, you're not going to know what to do anyway. I'm sure you didn't mean that, Condor. I'm just like misinterpreting your question, but we're going on a tangent. Would I be winning if I stick close to ICM Nash ranges? In low stakes, yes. In mid and high stakes, you probably need a bit more like thin edges rather than just playing Nash in every situation. Because sometimes Nash pushing hands can be really unprofitable. Sometimes, but on average, if you're playing Nash in every situation, all the other situations where you make money will make up for that one time when you push Nash and it was slightly incorrect. I think, yeah, so just, if you learn perfect Nash and just play micro stakes, you'll be a winning player, without a doubt, guaranteed. Nash is pretty useless. Yeah, that's true, like, this is all useless. You shouldn't be using Nash in micros, but it's a good starting point. It's like, if I was to teach a robot how to play poker, I would teach it Nash. Would the robot be the best player? Would the robot be able to beat like a good regular even at a $10 level? No. But would the robot be able to beat like the entire field at the micros? Yes. Is it going to be making the most money possible? No. Is it going to be making some money? Yes. So like Nash, yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but in micros, it'll make you money. But like, I'm not saying go and learn Nash and you'll be the best player. That's just not the way to do it. You play Nash heads up or 6-max, or in 6-max prior to heads up. Well, you can use Nash in any situation, Blair. You can use it, you know, in the cutoff when you're playing 6-max. You can also use it heads up, but you need to know when to apply it and when not to apply it. And you only really apply Nash when you're playing against other really good players who are also using Nash and adjusting perfectly. If you can at all exploit your opponent by knowing their range and making a better play, you need to do that. Nash is only a way to stop you from losing money. It doesn't win you money. The only way that Nash wins you money in micros is because the other players are so bad that Nash just becomes a winning strategy because they're playing in a way that Nash becomes good because they're bad at micros. But the reason why just playing Nash perfectly isn't as good in mid and high stakes is because your opponents are good enough to see that that's what you're doing and adjust to you and exploit you. In situations where Nash isn't going to be the best, like with more than 9 big blinds. Very often Nash is going to win you money, but doing other things and having a balanced limping range or a balanced min-raise range will win you more money. And that's where high stakes players can take more of an edge over Nash. Hopefully that makes sense. Is Nash a no win, no lose thing? Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's equilibrium. Yeah, like Saucy Panda has it exactly right. So Nash wins versus people who don't use it because people who don't use it usually play too tight. And when they're playing too tight, if you're playing Nash, you'll win money because they're still being too tight. And it breaks even versus other Nash, but you both lose to the rake, so you don't really break even. But yeah, anyway, same thing. You break even against other Nash ranges, and yeah, I agree. You shove wider than Nash usually because usually people are too tight. That's right, exactly how you do it. How do you play Nash in 3-way pots? Well, you can't apply it in, well, actually I'm sure there's a way to apply it in 3-way pots, but well, I mean, pre-flop you can, Blair. I'll show you. You can just put a hand in an ICM calculator, and it'll do an ICM calculation for 3 opponents, and it will give you like the Nash answer for it. You just do a three-way calculation. There's more variables, so like in a heads-up pot, you just put the variables as like you win against your opponent, you lose, you tie, and he folds, right? They're the variables. You can do the same thing 3-way, but there's just more scenarios. There's both players fold. There's one player calls and you win, and then one player calls and you lose. There's both players call and you win, both players call and you lose, or both players call and you win against one and lose against the other. Then there's the other guy calls and you win, the other guy calls and you lose. You still do the same ICM calculation. You can do it multi-way, but you don't want to do that by hand because it'll take forever. That's why we have calculators, because they do it for us. That's what Hold'em Resources does. It does the ICM calculation in Nash, but it does it with like 8 variables instead of heads up, which is only 3. And then you can do it 9-handed. It'll do all those variables. Like you push, this guy calls. That's what the calculator does. Next time I do one, I'll show you. Help, please. You shove Nash for 8 big blinds, obviously. Actually, not all the time. Saucy Panda. I have discovered recently that especially heads up, you can have a balanced 8 big blind limp range even against regulars. So You don't automatically have to use Nash with 8 big blinds, and even against regulars, there are ways to get more value. I've learned this from Heads Up Hyper Turbo players, the best guys in the world, so I'm pretty confident that it's true. Okay. I mean, this is the big 3-bet, dude, so I kind of feel like if you think he's bluffing, just jam pre-flop, but this is a big 3-bet. I don't really think you can call out of position against this sizing. Yeah, if you think he's bluffing, I just get it in pre-flop, because the pot's big. The pot's already more than 1,000, you only have 3,000 behind. It's a big sizing. Like, if he 3-bet 600, I think calling is okay, because, you know, there's less incentive for you to shove pre-flop because the pot's smaller. And you're getting better odds out of position. But here the odds aren't as good. You're getting more incentive to just shove if you think he's weak. If you think he's strong, you just fold because King Queen's always behind. Oh, fuck this replay. Why does it do this? Like, I can't see the flop. It's fucking bugged. Okay, so you check fold on this flop. Yeah. Okay. If you think he's bluffing, just jam pre. So let's say we're on a satellite bub with 2 people winning a seat. Stacks are blah blah blah, blinds are that. So Nash would say that's all blind push any 2 cards. Stacks are... Nash would say that small blind should push any 2 cards and big blind can only call aces, but if I have a donkey, it calls ace-5 big blind, he will lose that small blind a ton of equity. Exactly, that's perfectly true, Master Yoda. That's correct. So in that situation, yeah, like Nash will only calculate like all-in situations pre-flop. I mean, I know there are ways to get game theory optimal lines in cash games post-flop, which you can probably do in SnGos as well. But when people refer to Nash ranges, they prefer to all-in pre-flops, and that's a perfect example where you can have an all-in pre-flop range, which is equilibrium, but there's a much better way to play that hand than just using Nash blindly. Good example. Thank you, Cavity. Appreciate the kind words. I did think he was bluffing. I was going to jam, but meh, tilting. He's not bluffing. I mean, that's a big 3-bet sizing, Saucy Panda. When people 3-bet big, they usually just have value. So I would just fold pre-flop, unless I had good reads. Can't even see the table on Boom Player. Yeah, Hold'em Resources calculator Nash is really good. Wow, this is a pretty loose defend. But I mean, it's fine if he's a weak player. You're in the cage! You're in the cage, Jlawrence. This guy... It's a good barrel card. Like, if he's a good player, I think he's going to bet here a lot and you have to call. If he's a bad player, I'd probably just fold. Yeah, like, this is a really good barrel card, so I'm tempted to just call and assume that he's bluffing. But, you know, you don't have to. I think if he's a bad player, they're going to be less likely to barrel as a bluff, so you just give it up. It's fine. You're pretty much at the bottom of your range. So it's okay to fold. What's the better way to play in that spot? I mean, limp, Master Yoda. See a flop. Fold. You can fold because the other guy's all in next hand. You know what? I'd probably be folding in a satellite. Everything. Except for like really good pairs, and then I just limp. Like, I would just limp aces. If he wants to jam it in, I'll just limp fold, whatever. I mean, I guess you could just shove aces, but I mean, I'd rather just limp. Or you can just fold. I mean, honestly, you can just fold. The guy's all in next hand. It's such an extreme bubble situation. If the big blind is really that bad, can just open fold aces. Because the guy's all in next hand, who cares? It's a satellite. I'd have to run some math on whether that's actually the correct play, but I think that I would be fine just open folding aces in that situation. In the satellite. What's up, P-Bob? Awesome stream, always watching you while playing poker. Feel my game is improving from day to day, but still a lot to learn. Wish me good luck going deep in this 11 super knockout. Good luck, P-Bo91. P-Bob? P-Bob91. Good luck, man. Thanks for watching the stream, man. Glad you enjoy it. You raise every single hand. I think the defender's fine. Call. Or raise. Raise is fine. This is, I think, less likely to work because he's not going to believe you on this board. But he might believe you. As long as you don't fold, I think whatever you do there is okay. I would just call because I think that whenever I try this move, I don't find people fold that much. So my line here would just be to check call and then take it away from him on the turn or river. But the raise is fine as well, I think. Even though he's all in next hand, my Nash calculator always wants to push any two there. That's a good example, Master Yoda, of when the Nash calculator will not be relevant. It will just be incorrect because it won't correctly calculate super short stack future game situations. So that's a perfect example of not blindly following an ICM calculator, and you need to use your brain as well to realize that sometimes even if it's telling you to push Nash any two, you shouldn't, because you know better. Sometimes you have to, you know, diverge away from the ICM calculators. That's what separates mid stakes regs from high stakes regs. Yeah, sub-sweat tomorrow. Thanks, Kondo1. We're gonna have song requests tomorrow as well, guys. That's so funny. You guys are on the same table. Can you do an English accent? Cheers, love. The cavalry's here. How's that? Wow. Super loose defend. Jlawrence, I feel like if he's really raising any two on the button and you want to play this hand, just 3-bet bluff. Because he's going to fold a lot pre-flop if you 3-bet bluff. And this is the kind of hand where it's just not going to play good out of position. So you should have a 3-bet bluff range. And I personally would just fold and let him win one pot. But I would much prefer, if you're going to play this hand, just 3-bet bluff. Answer, no. Can you do a stronger Aussie accent? Yeah, of course, mate. I can. No one will understand me, though, if I do that. I'll try it for one hand. That's a no. Fuck you guys. Ooh, he checked back. Okay, so if you're trying to bluff catch, right? But if he was gonna bluff, don't you think he would have just bet the flop? I feel like this is a spot where you need to just bet fold to get value from his bluff catches. So I really don't think he's going to be bluffing on this board, especially when he checked back flop. Like, if he had a bluffing hand, he would have just bet flop. You're getting owned here. Well, like, he's got like a 6 with no diamond. See, look, that'll read. Confirm. Best hand reader on Twitch. Can you play some satellites? I'm only reviewing today, Master Yoda. Sorry, man. I might play some satellites tomorrow if you remind me. I need to be reminded to play satellites because they're not in my normal schedule. You just did by trying to do an English accent, a stronger Aussie one. Hey, it's awesome that you guys are on the same table, but if you want to chat about your game, just try and do it in whispers so you don't clog up the chat with stuff that no one else is seeing. I really appreciate that. Thanks, guys. Good luck in your games. Take it down. Try and do it in whispers, though. The rest of the chat will feel left out. What's happening here? So we limped. Alright, thin value. I like it. Blushing? I'm not blushing, am I? Check call, check call, check call. I like a value bet. I think that he might call you with a queen or a jack. He might hero call against like a missed draw. He might think you have like 8-9 or 10-9. Sorry, 10-9's the nuts. I just think that he's not going to bluff, so I'd rather get thin value and hope that he decides to call you with a jack or a 9. I bet very small, because I don't think he's going to call a big bet with a queen or a jack, so I bet like 300. Good. We're on the same wavelength, Jlawrence, you and me. We're on the same level here. I feel like you're playing really good, dude. After I finished that hand, I felt like that hand with you yesterday with ace queen suited versus jacks. Exactly, man. You're hoping that he's gonna like bluff, but it's not a spot where he's bluffing. So you're still practicing your hand reading, I feel. How sick was that read though? 6 no diamond. Didn't even know that function. Yeah, it's /W. What's your opinion on 0 EV Nash pushes? Should you do them or no? It depends on the game, Master Yoda. So, I would take break-even Nash pushes in thin value games where there's no weak players on the table left. So if I'm only playing against regulars, I'm fine taking break-even Nash spots because folding those spots will lose me more money. Because I'll just be, you know, giving more chips to my opponents in a spot where even breaking even in Nash, yeah, it doesn't win me any money. But on a table where there's no more edges to gain, you're all just playing perfect Nash. Unless you feel like you can win. The only way that I would fold break-even Nash on a table like that is if I felt that the other guys were making a lot of mistakes and they were going to like make mistakes against each other, which gives me equity. Okay? I swear it's because of this stream. I mean, I swear, Jlawrence, that last week you sent me a hand history which was like had a lot of mistakes, and this one is godlike. It's just like one of the best I've ever seen from stream viewers. Like, you're making small mistakes, like it's not perfect, but I think that the level of play here is really high. Especially for a $1 game. Okay, this hand's well played. Limp and that, good. I just limp call. We're getting 2-1 in position. Good, well done. The hand flops nicely. So, weak pair, weak kicker. If he's got air, he's just going to fold when you bet. So this is a spot to where you're way ahead, way behind. Either he has an ace and he's trapping you and you're toast, or he has nothing and you crush him anyway. So you just check back and catch his bluffs. Maybe go for some thin value on the river. Yeah, I don't like the bet because there's just nothing you're going to get value from. Yeah. You know what? He might have been bluffing you and then you ended up bet folding there in a spot where you might have 80% equity right now. Like, he could have like 5-7 off and just be bluffing, and you're folding when you have so much equity. So if there's ever a chance that he's bluffing here, which I think there might be, people like bluffing ace high boards, you are punting your equity in this hand. Just check. I have to leave now. I'll check the full reviews on VODs later. Hopefully they'll still have audio. Cheers, buds. Have a good one. Back to grinding tomorrow. Yeah, back to grinding tomorrow, Douglas Souza. Tomorrow is Subsweat day, so we'll have some song requests and grinding and the Subsweat. That'll be tomorrow. Cheers, man. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. I will put all these on YouTube. Hopefully it won't be muted. I haven't been getting muted because I think the music's low enough that the Twitch isn't picking it up. I'm like Jay Carver, I'm talking all the time so my VODs don't get muted. Wait, what's happening here? Okay, so we flat, it goes check, check, and then you value bet and you get raised. What the fuck is going on? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Does he have a set of queens? Does he have king, queen that he was slow playing? Very unlikely because you have a king. Does he have a set of 3s or 4s? Is he just bluffing? I think he might just be bluffing. You're at the top of your range where you would bet here with a lot of air, but you actually have top pair this time. So I feel like against this aggressive player, he's playing a lot of hands. You have to at least call. I would not shove because shoving, you're not getting value from worse. If he is bluffing, let him continue bluffing on the river. If he's value betting, you're always behind. So you don't want to shove this, you want to just use it as a bluff catcher. Good, 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 good. So if you think he was bluffing, bluff catch, continue with your line. I think, I don't know if I would be able to bluff catch here against the overbet. But I can see that you made the call, which I am okay with because of our reads on our opponent, knowing that he's quite boost aggressive. I think it's a very good spot to catch a bluff if you have that read. So I think you played this very, very, very well, Jlawrence. Didn't want to call in iron because I can beat him easily in the future hands. After you bet, the fold is perfect, yes. After you bet, it's definitely bet fold, but bet folding there with good showdown value is a mistake. You need to check back. Dude, this game is so good. You've improved a lot. Well done. Keep it up. Keep going. Holy shit, guys.